Aaron Judge, the fact that you could say he has a chip on his shoulder is wild, but he does. You don't think Aaron Judge went through his head up until his kid was born, probably, that dropping that ball in the 5th inning?
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsulias. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. With me, as usual, my co-host, Brian McKeon, and we have a special guest, the prop queen, Ariel Epstein. Hello.
Happy baseball season, everyone.
It's back, finally. 36 runs in 3 games, but it's back.
It's back, and we have a lot to talk about. So before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to Locked On Yankees on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like our videos, hit the bell so you're notified whenever our videos go live. And a big thanks to all of our listeners. You got us into the top 200 of sports podcasts on iTunes this week, which is pretty cool. On today's show, we'll delve deeper into the story surrounding the torpedo bats, because that's all anyone is talking about. We'll talk about Ariel's new adventure, and we'll preview the series with the Diamondbacks, because that's coming up later today. But first, let's talk about the weekend. We can't stop talking about this historic weekend that the Yankees had, because it was so... what's the word? Insane?
Mesmerizing. I can't get over it. And the pitching wasn't even the story, and we think the pitching is going to be the strength of the Yankees this year. I guess the bats did come out of it, but we'll get into torpedo bats in the second segment. But, I mean, 36 runs in 3 games, the amount of home runs, the start by Aaron Judge that kind of gets shadowed by the fact that they scored so many runs, and the bat story and everything like that. Ariel, you were at opening day. You weren't at game 2 or 3, no?
No, I was invited to game 2. I had really fancy dinner reservations at the
I did see that actually.
Well, you saw it because of the dessert plate that I was handed by the manager of the Polo Bar. So yeah, I was invited Saturday. Decided after having about 15 Surfsides and Sun Cruisers, neutrals combined, plus George, who owns Billy's, making me take a tequila shot after the win, that I should probably... Oh, and then the owner of Billy's invited me to Pistachios on Friday night, who's his friend. So that was a free dinner. So, of course, I was going.
Yeah.
Drank too much there. So decided that day drinking again at Billy's on Saturday was probably, like, just not smart. I was glad, though. I got to watch the game from a sober perspective. And I think that was more... I don't know if it was more exciting. At least I remembered it.
Yeah, it might have reminded you of being drunk, though, just watching the game, because the game felt drunk, that's for sure.
Well, the fielding felt drunk.
It was 5 errors. Max Fried, two earned runs, but wound up giving up way more than that. Its start looks a little skewed, actually, and didn't get a win. I can't remember the last pitcher that gave up, that had 20 runs of run support and didn't get a win out of it, didn't get a decision out of it. So that really stinks. I do want to bring up the Judge numbers just briefly. I know it's 3 games, and we've discussed that you don't want to get too ahead of yourselves when it comes to stuff, but the torpedo bats, the Judge's numbers might not be too skewed, because the Brewers do stink. They can't pitch. They played the Royals today and gave up a ton of runs again, like 11 runs today. So the Brewers can't pitch. We do know that, at least this far in. But listen to these numbers so far. Through 3 games, again, the Judge is batting .545, 4 homers, 11 RBIs, a 2.461 OPS. Now, for perspective, this probably won't happen, but I'm not going to rule it out with Aaron Judge. He's currently on pace for 324 hits, 216 home runs, 594 RBIs. Guys, before I get your opinions on it, chances that it happens?
I mean, 62 is definitely a possibility.
I mean, I can't see it not happening at this point. It's 3 games in, but let's put it this way, Ariel. With the way that he was from June to September of last year, remember, he finished with 58 homers last year, and he was non-existent in April and May. I mean, he really heated up towards like May 20th, but like most of the month of April and May, he was non-existent. He would have hit like 75, 80 home runs last year if he had a reasonable April and May. So I mean, is there a chance this year that he breaks the all-time record? I mean, how could you not think that with this start?
So Aaron Judge, the fact that you could say he has a chip on his shoulder is wild, but he does. You don't think Aaron Judge went through his head up until his kid was born, probably, that dropping that ball in the 5th inning? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Derek Jeter, who has won so many World Series, could tell you the only thing that ever stands out in his brain is what he does bad at and when he loses. It's not as heavy on his brain as the winning. Aaron Judge could have historic seasons, and that's why coming off as hot of a start as he has this weekend doesn't surprise me for such a competitor like Judge, who probably was like waiting for opening day to come so he could make his fans forgive him for a minute. And I don't know if we have, but like, I guess we have to, right?
We got no option. He's
no, I mean, it was, here's
anyway.
why I forgive Judge. It wasn't fully his fault. Like, nobody had his back in the 5th inning. Not one person. He could make one mistake.
It's one play too. Like, you know, it was a huge play in a huge inning, but like, you got to look at the whole grand scheme of that series and think, were they really coming back if he makes that one catch? They could have, but the odds still weren't greatly in their favor. The rest of the offense too, outrageous. Stacey, I want to get your take on this because a guy that I feel like wasn't noticed, and you did bring up the bullpen. That deserves to be talked about too, because the bullpen was lights out. The most disheartening part about the bullpen was Devin Williams, who still got the save, but struggled through his, and that was his debut. We went through the Devin Williams stuff.
I'll talk about, you did Devin Williams. I'll do that after Stacey talks about.
Yeah, no, because I wanted to, before we got into the bullpen, before we rounded out the hitters, I wanted to get Stacey's perspective on a guy that no one's really talked about. But Cody Bellinger, a home run, 6 RBIs in the first series, and he hasn't been mentioned anywhere. No. So I wanted to get your perspective on what he's done.
Judge totally overshadowed him.
Yeah, I mean, Judge overshadowed him, Jazz overshadowed him, you know, and it wasn't just getting
the bats.
yeah, the bats overshadowed him. You know, he made great defensive plays. There was a play he made for Stroman running all the way to the wall to catch a ball. You know, timely hitting too, like the sac fly to get a run in. And I kind of love this though, because you want a team where there are guys that are under the radar, because then when they come out, it's like, oh, right, yeah, he's doing just as well. Like, you want a team to have so many guys doing things that someone inevitably gets not talked about, because that means the whole team's doing well. Like,
you mean like the Dodgers?
Well, you know, yeah.
Literally, that's a perfect example. I want to get to the bullpen in a second, and I have another question afterwards. But on the Cody Bellinger note too, which I think is important, his change to his swing path has been crucial. That he did with the Cubs, really, of becoming more of a contact hitter. Like you mentioned, the sac fly. Those are things that don't really get noticed a lot, but he's got the power and the natural swing to be able to hit 30, 40 home runs in Yankee Stadium while still being a contact hitter. That's why I think a lot of people think he's going to have a big year. I think we could potentially see a lot out of Cody Bellinger. Ariel, you had a point to make on the bullpen. They were terrific all weekend. And again, another part of the team that was overshadowed, but I think this is going to be a key part of this team, right?
The bullpen's always a key part of the Yankees. So opening day, and I know people are probably sick of hearing about opening day, but opening day, I'm surrounded by Yankees fans. Everyone's laughing around me that Clay Holmes is getting lit up by the Astros on opening day in Clay Holmes style. I go through the play-by-play with everyone around me. Like hit by pitch, walk, bases loaded, fielder's choice, like so Clay Holmes-esque. All Yankees fans are laughing at it. Then we get Devin Williams out of the pen. I'm like, this is, you want to talk about bad karma. I was waiting. Yeah. I'm listening to all these Yankee fans laugh about Clay Holmes sucking for the Mets. And then Devin Williams gets into Clay Holmes' jam. This is the end. This is over. I told everyone to stop talking badly about Clay Holmes, because I had Brewers fans when the Yankees got Devin Williams. Brewers fans messaging me on social media. Good luck. The same thing I used to say, the same thing I said to Mets fans about Clay Holmes. Good luck. When your own fan base is telling you good luck and they're not mad that you're gone, that does scare me a bit, especially when it's against your former team.
Yeah, I think there were jitters, especially, and I got to be honest with you too. I'm not a proponent of these people, but they do exist in the fan base, and I'd be hard to believe that Ariel's one of these people, but I can't confirm because I haven't been to a game with her before. But I don't think you're a booer of Devin Williams in his first appearance with the Yankees. Like that, I don't understand.
I actually will not boo my own team. I
agree with you.
I will be mad at them, but I will not outwardly boo them.
Yeah, and I thought that was unfair to Devin Williams. I didn't like that he's getting booed
Like,
in his
I'll
first
roast you on
appearance.
social media. Like, I'll roast Aaron Boone for pulling Garrett Cole in game 1 of the World Series. Like that, like when you make bad decisions I don't agree with, then I'll talk about it. I will never boo. I mean, like I probably did when I was 10, but adult me won't.
Yeah, for sure. Just to close this segment out, I do have a question because it has been boggling my mind. I do think a round of emotions Yankee fans have gone through from the start of spring training or the start of pitchers and catchers to where we are now is just an insane roller coaster that I don't know how many people can really replicate in a season before. And I wonder if there's been a season because we've gone over many times before the lack of Yankee baseball that I've had the ability to watch because of my age. If there's been a season where you guys can remember where the Yankees you came in so high coming into spring training, everything turned to poop with Garrett Cole getting hurt and Giancarlo Stanton getting hurt, and the expectations go down so bad. They had a horrible spring training when it comes to injuries. And now after 3 games, they're back on the World Series track. Has there ever been a swing of emotions that you guys have ever seen from a spring training to this?
Mariano going down.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's probably the worst roller coaster of emotions because as soon as Mo went down in the outfield catching those balls in BP, you knew the season was over with no Mo. That was devastating. See, the Yankees, at least now, are approaching a time where you can go and find out by the trade deadline if you want to be the Yankees and go out and make some big moves. But the roller coaster of emotion part, there was no one to bring in to replace Mariano Rivera. And I'm not saying you can replace Garrett Cole, but you could certainly do well enough to still be a World Series contender without Garrett Cole. Not saying you're going to win one, but you could still go out and get a Luis Castillo from a Mariners team that doesn't know how to hit a baseball. You could still go out and try to get some other number 2, number 3 pitcher. So, yeah, Mariano is always the one that I'll say made me feel that way.
Stacey, one come to mind?
No, not really. But
so
when Mo got hurt, they had Soriano. And they made it to the ALCS. That was...
You weren't devastated?
Well, no. I mean, obviously, that my heart was in my throat when that happened because I knew he was near the end of his career. And I was like, oh, my God. And when he said, I'm coming back. This is not how things are ending. I was like, holy cow. Okay, thank goodness. Because,
But you just watch your World Series hopes. Like, you felt the same way you feel with Cole going out. Like, you feel like your World Series hopes just died.
That's interesting. I would disagree with that actually because Garrett Cole's a starting pitcher. Like I feel like you can, even though Mariano's obviously Mariano, I feel like you can recover from a closer going down way easier at least than you can from Garrett. Because Garrett Cole, how many Garrett Coles have there been in baseball history? 10, 12? Like he's an ace of an ace. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't know. Like this just. We'll get into it, but I just feel like this one depresses me a lot. Speaking of hitting, you mentioned the Mariners. They could be in use of a shipment from New York of bats, potentially. We'll get into that in the next segment. But don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, and hit the notification so that when our videos go up. You can also join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. That link is in our description. You'll get texts from us. You can text us questions, comments, reactions to trades and signings. We send out lineups during the season, roster moves, breaking news. So you don't have to check social media at all. There's a 14-day free trial. Coming up next, let's talk about those big bets. March Madness is coming to an end, and FanDuel gives you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories, and even to who's cutting down the nets. Now, it's been a lot of chalk so far, but you guys can still get in on underdogs on FanDuel if you like to. I got my eye on a few underdogs going into the Final Four, and FanDuel makes it easier to back them. They got spreads, totals, game props, anything you can want. And with the tournament games happening, there's always something exciting to bet on. The FanDuel app also makes it easy and simple to use. When I win, I get paid out instantly. There's no waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. Thanks again for making Locked On Yankees your first listen. Remember that every Friday is Fan Mail Friday. You can leave questions underneath our pinned comments in our videos Monday through Thursday, or you can join that Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. Those fans get top priority during Fan Mail Friday. That link's in our description. So I don't know if either of you have heard of Aaron Learhart before. yesterday or before today or even in the last 24 hours. But
I'm assuming his name is Lenhart because they call him Lenny for short.
Oh, that would make sense then. So Aaron Lenhart, I didn't know him because he went to MIT and I certainly didn't. He's an MIT physics, former Michigan physics professor until 2017 when he started working in some AA baseball, I believe, or independent league baseball. Yankees hired him in 2018 and he got to work. And he's the guy that's behind these torpedo bats, which I don't find to be as big of a story, but it's the biggest story in baseball now, is it not?
Yeah.
It's the biggest story in sports.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. People actually think that the Yankees were coming out with these bats that were illegal, that people wouldn't check the bats to make sure that they were legal, like doing something illegal in plain sight. Like it's just we're living in a conspiratorial hellscape right now. So everyone thinks everything is a conspiracy. The Yankees are cheating. Everything is illegal. It's ridiculous. The Barstool guys were going crazy over this, which I think is really funny.
Went at Jazz Chisholm, and then they started talking about how Chisholm's like, I'm a major leaguer. Portnoy said if he didn't hurt his shoulder, he would have been a major leaguer too.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, Dave. we're gonna get.
I was not personally aware that the bats were checked before every game and before being manufactured, that they're legal to major league standards. I mean, I guess like
they used them last year.
See, that no one noticed, and that's what's crazy. I do partly feel like Michael Kay did bring this to light. Also, doesn't help that the game that he brings it to light is the game they hit 9 home runs.
Right.
That doesn't really help, but like this would have caught on at some point, because even though it was used last year, there's no way that the guys were using it at this level last year. Like, I don't remember Anthony Volpe using this bat, but to be quite honest with you, I don't pay attention to the curvature of his bat more often than not. But I don't remember Anthony Volpe hitting like this last year at any point. And Jazz certainly didn't have this much of a power stroke. It does seem a little, I don't really care that they're doing this. And like we've all kind of assumed, the rest of the league is going to catch on within days at this point, right? You already saw a guy for the Twins using it. The Cubs were using it yesterday. Well, the Cubs had it last year, apparently, because Cody Bellinger said he used it. This feels like such a forced story. And am I wrong in saying that? But it feels like it feels like it's because of the Yankees.
That's what it is. It's because it's the Yankees. If any other team did this, people would not even blink. They wouldn't care. But it's the big bad Yankees who were doing it. Maybe if the Dodgers
who were hitting and who were hitting really, like, who were scoring 20 runs.
Right.
I had on the Prop Queen pod earlier Cliff Floyd, MLB legend.
Awesome.
I asked him about it. I said, okay, I had Cliff on because he has played for pretty much every other team in baseball except the New York Yankees. I said, are you mad? He goes, I'm mad that this is a conversation. He's like, all I want to do is go on TV, talk about baseball. I want to talk about why Devers is slumping. I don't want to talk about we actually compared this to the baseball jersey Fanatics problem last year with the Fanatics jersey. Mm-hmm. Everyone was using them in spring training. It got brought to light on social media. One person complained. Then everybody started to complain. And there's a lot more to that because I worked for Fanatics and it wasn't even Fanatics' fault. It was Nike's fault, but Fanatics had to take the fault. Fine, whatever. Anyway, Cliff Lloyd was like, this is such a dumb conversation. Everybody could use it. He goes, it's not like the steroid era where that was a performance-enhancing drug that was illegal. And of course, everyone was kind of like competing with each other. Cliff goes, this is totally legal. It's just like in football with like this tush push. Anyone could do it. Why is it going to be illegal if everyone could do it? This guy is also now the guy who did this bat thing is with the Marlins now. So
and what's the funny part is not a single Marlins batter was using one of these bats over the weekend, which is crazy to me that they hired him. They probably spent a decent amount of money to get him into their analytics department, and they don't even use his greatest invention or his greatest baby that he invented that doesn't even get to be used.
And again, the Brewers pitching staff has been terrible even since the games at Yankee Stadium. It was come on, let's see what happens after a 3-game sample size. And let's not forget, the Yankees did not score 20 runs on opening day.
No, and they get Corbin Burns later on tonight. So we're going to see if that, because Corbin Burns, a lot better than any of the guys the Yankees saw against Milwaukee. So we're going to see if that tune changes a little bit. I do want to mention, again, an opinion from you guys before we get into the next spot here, because this is quite interesting, and this kind of got buried in the whole torpedo bat conversation. Giancarlo Stanton's quote, if you go back to when he got hurt and what he credited his injury to last year, was, and this is a direct quote from Giancarlo Stanton, probably some bat adjustments we made last year of why he thinks that he got hurt in last year's season, why his elbows are hurting now. This also got a little fishier too, because when they spoke to Stacey, help me out again, Lenhart, that's his name. When they spoke to Lenhart about this, because he's been interviewed by The Athletic yesterday, when they spoke to him about it, he deferred all medical questions. He said, I don't want to answer anything about anyone medically, anything at all. He also he refused to comment, said he's going to defer all questions to the Yankees medical staff, directly stating the Yankees medical staff. He also said that some people started using the bats last year, and then the rest of Major League Baseball caught wind of it. Really, this offseason is when the rest of baseball got caught wind of it. Any credence to the Stanton stuff from both of you, because no one's going to be talking about it, and I think it's a little juicy.
Yeah. Well, okay, here's my thing. Would he need a new bat? I mean, he already hits the snot out of the ball without an altered bat. Like, the guys, I understand some of the guys, like Volpe, yes, Jazz, yes. Judge doesn't need it. Why would Stanton need it? Because he's barreling the ball all the time. Because that's the thing. This barrel stat, once that started happening and people started realizing how it affects the game of baseball, if you barrel a ball and hit like, obviously it's common sense. If you hit the ball on the fattest part of the bat, of course it's going to go farther. But once the statistics started measuring this stuff, these guys got obsessed with that. And I think this is part of that. I just find it hilarious that someone like Giancarlo Stanton, who could use a golf club to hit a ball 500 feet, would be using one of these bats.
I think the quote to me is what's interesting about the Stanton thing. I don't know if he'd use one of these either. I don't think it makes sense that he'd use one.
Yeah.
The quote to me is what's interesting, though, is the fact that Stanton didn't cite a specific at bat. He didn't cite going longer into the playoffs or playing longer. None of that. He said, I think some bat adjustments we made last year. That seems a little fishy of saying that specific way. It almost seems like he's adding him without adding him, if that makes sense. If he's quote tweeting him in a sense without actually tagging him in the tweet. That's what it feels like. Now, am I wrong, Ariel?
For a veteran like Stanton, if you're feeling something's off, say something. You're not a young player like Volpe. You're not Dominguez. You're not overwhelmed or insecure about yourself. If Stanton felt this way, it means he might have made bad adjustments. Was it helping? Was his production better? Because he did have a very hot part of the year. So if that's the case, then he was sacrificing the bad adjustments for positive results, yet hurting himself, which we hear all the time with injuries too. When there is an injury, you make adjustments that usually leads to other injuries. So I think you're right. This is a very sketchy. And what's sketchy to me more is that he's deferring to the Yankees for further quotes.
Yep.
I've had the same question marks. Why did Garrett Cole not get evaluated right after the World Series? Why did we wait until midway through spring training to evaluate Garrett Cole to then now lose him a year and a half because of Tommy John surgery when he could have probably just missed one season and not another half of a season? Same thing with Stanton. Why did we there are so many question marks about these injuries to the Yankees that it's now a bigger question mark why Stanton's phrasing it that way.
Right.
Yeah, I completely agree.
The other thing about the Stanton injury makes me think that because he started feeling this in the middle of last season and he played through this through the playoffs. And I mentioned this another time where I really think the pressure of having Juan Soto on the team guaranteed only for 1 year and thinking this is your one time that you can get to the World Series. And you know how these athletes are. Like, if they can play through it, they'll play through it and forget don't worry about the offseason. Just play through it and try to
they've got the best
win.
stuff to play through it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably
whatever she's talking about.
The
legal stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I think that had something to do with it too. And it wasn't, because it wasn't a season where Judge was down, because we've had that where, he ran into the fence at Dodger Stadium. He was out for a couple months with the toe thing. And I can understand the pressure of wanting to help the lineup that way. But I really feel like Juan Soto screwed some people up. He screwed up Garrett Cole and he screwed up Giancarlo Stanton because now they're both injured because there was a lot of pressure. Brian Cashman's like, look, we got Juan Soto. Let's get this team to the World Series. We got to do this.
Well, now they got Jazz Chisholm, and they have torpedo bats. So let's do it again. Let's get to the World Series. Coming up next, we're going to preview the Diamondbacks series and talk about Ariel's new venture that's launched. Get the supplies you need from the site that's made for the skilled trades, SupplyHouse. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, SupplyHouse is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? SupplyHouse offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trademaster program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. Join the Trademaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. So Yankees go into their second series of the year. Later on tonight, they'll face Corbin Burnes with Will Warren getting the start. Definitely a different test for them going forward. A lot better pitching they're going to see and a lot better of a team, I feel. Even though Milwaukee was in the postseason last year, Arizona's a lot better of a team than Milwaukee, at least the way I feel.
Yeah, you're facing Corbin Burnes, Zach Gallen, and Merrill Kelly, which is different than Aaron Savali, Nestor Cortez, and who started on Saturday? I can't even remember. Or opening day. Who was the opening day?
Oh, Rodon.
Whoa, you threw me off.
Brewers.
Freddie Peralta.
Freddie Peralta.
He did well. Peralta was the one pitcher for the Brewers.
He settled in after that first inning.
Yeah.
Peralta.
Yeah. I think the best pitcher for the Brewers actually this weekend was Jake Bauers.
Yeah.
Actually, not a bad point.
Two scoreless innings.
Ariel.
I mean, yeah.
I'm gonna transition this real quick. Ariel, this weekend, are unders the bet then in these Yankees games midweek or no?
You could look at the Yankees team total unders. I'm sure they'll probably be overpriced
Inflated
because of the way that they played the last couple of games and maybe the torpedo bats play a factor. However, a full game under, not with Carlos Rodon on the mound. The D-backs last year were the second best lineup in baseball against lefties. So then you're going to get Carlos Rodon? Nope, I'm out. Warren, I guess having the day off helps the Yankees because they could utilize the bullpen after Warren. But then you're going to get screwed because you've got Rodon and Carrasco. They're going to need to figure out how to save this bullpen with a really tough Arizona lineup who also loves to steal bases. I'm very, very worried about this series. If the Yankees come out 2-1, then I'll be impressed.
Stacey, we just put it on a tee for her. You can hear that and a lot more on a broader spectrum on the propqueen.com, which finally launched, finally is going. Now, just a little bit of a background here. I've been in the industry for 6 years now since I graduated broadcasting school. Stacey's been in the industry for way longer than that. Ariel's been in the industry for longer than me. She was a big deal on social media when I got into the industry. All being said, she has always been known as the prop queen, but now it's hers. Now it's her own thing. Now it's its own big, gigantic thing. Tell us about this because it feels a decade in the making, honestly.
Yeah, I feel like it's been a decade in the making because I've worked for people for so many years and nobody really seems to know what to do with the betting landscape. I finally am like, okay, I'm doing this on my own. There wasn't a main place people could go for just props. The prop betting world got mixed in with everything else, spreads, totals, money lines. The new sites that have come out, and again, like maybe I won't name them because I know you guys are a FanDuel partner, but props are a huge deal. And there's a lot of sites now catering to just props. My brother is only 18 and his whole friend group in college, they're obsessed with props. So I think that people need to adjust with the times a bit. And that's where the prop queen comes in. It's contributors that I really trust. I've been doing sports betting from a media standpoint for the last 6 years. And on the media side, I know all the people that have been profitable in betting props. So I only bring on those people. We need credibility back in the gambling space. It's gotten to be very well known for influencers that love to just completely rake on each other and kill each other on social media. I just want to give good information. That's all I'm here for, is to give you good information. Baseball, basketball, football. We've got guests to do hockey because I certainly cannot do hockey. But I just love what I do, and I just want to bring people in with me and create a community where, yeah, you can have fun watching the Yankees, but yeah, if the Yankees lose, or if you have a bad season like a couple years ago, betting at least keeps you in the game and keeps you involved in your love for baseball in a different way. That's what I'm here for, is to help you love your sports and make some money.
So there's it's all over social media, obviously. There's a podcast, there's a newsletter. You can sign up for that on thepropqueen.com. There's also a merch store. And Stacey, I think we should get ourselves some like crop tops or something just to model out a little bit on the show. It's all over. There's coffee mugs that you can get. It's taken off, right? I mean, am I wrong?
Yeah, there's I have a few like custom made sweatshirts, t-shirts too. My friend Rafi just got his sweatshirt. It says "on the last leg," and on the back is "of my parlay," because all this guy does is text me that he lost one leg. So I just there's all these different custom things. I still have to build up the merch side. I've been really focused on building up the newsletter and the podcast side first, because info is my number one priority. Mm-hmm. The newsletter goes out every morning. It gives you kind of like the early, it's not a pick selling service. It's giving you all the edges. So I always say, and every gambler knows this, you could have a card of 10 bets you like. In media, I give out maybe my 3 favorites. So on the podcast, I'll say, hey, here are my 3 best bets. Go figure, a lot of the times, the ones I left off end up winning, and sometimes the ones that I give out are losers. Instead of that happening, I said, you know what? I'm creating this newsletter where everything I like, all the edges, are going on the newsletter. So it's condensing your card, so you don't have to look through the entire FanDuel Sportsbook. You can now just look at the newsletter and read it and say, okay, I kind of like that. I like that, instead of having such a large menu. So that's what the newsletter is for. Then the podcast is every weekday, 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern time, bringing on guests, bringing on, and I give my analysis. I do bring parts of the newsletter on there as well to provide analysis. It's all props. And then, of course, I go through some of my weird stories. Today I talked about the cake I got that said Soto's better than Judge at the Polo Bar. So do some of that.
Can I just ask just briefly though, because I do want to, I am a little bit of a restaurant nerd. So I need to know, how was the Polo Bar? Because I can't even get a reservation there. So how was the experience of getting to eat there? That sounds amazing.
Oh my gosh, it's the best. I've been a few times, and because the manager is a diehard Mets fan, he loves baseball. I figured that out. I went to, so a couple of years ago, of course, baseball gets me into some exclusive restaurant. You have to call, if you call on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m., call the number at 10 a.m. on the dot. They will give you a reservation, but you have to be ready to take it. So I did this a couple of years ago for my sister's birthday, and I just said, okay, Tuesday, 5:15 p.m., they give you a random day and time, you go. So we did. Okay. I said, I'm not doing this again. I'm going to meet someone in that building to get me in here. So I go to all the hostesses and everything, and I said, I'm here from MLB Network. Is there anyone I could meet to introduce myself? They go, oh, of course you're here from MLB Network. Our manager, Kieran, loves baseball. He loves betting, and he's a diehard Mets fan. Of course, I meet Kieran. We hit it off. Now Kieran's my person, except not my person, but you know what I mean? My guy, the manager there. And then I'm okay, having a great time every dinner. And every dinner I get enough wine in me that I totally forgot that Kieran is going to probably send me a dessert with some kind of Yankees hatred on it. So anyway, the burger is to die for. I never thought that a burger could actually be something worth raving over, but it is definitely a top 5 burger.
Stacey, 10,000 subscribers. We're getting to the Polo Bar. I know a guy that can get us in, by the way.
All right.
That's going to do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. We thank Ariel Epstein, the Prop Queen, for joining us. Find all of her stuff on the Prop Queen, her website, thepropqueen.com. FanDuel.com. It's available all over there. I'm Brian McKeon.
And I'm Stacey Gotsulias. We will see you tomorrow.